Hello and good day, dear customers. Welcome to our HAVO Academy. My name is Dirk Finkenrath, and on today's tutorial we'll be looking at the new SBA created symbols for sterile barrier systems, and in particular to the SBA guidance document answering most common questions. Well, we won't be going into too much detail regarding this document. However, it is highly recommended to retrieve this document on the SBA homepage. Contact details will be supplied on the next couple of slides. We'll be going through some of the questions, however, more from a HAVO sealer technology point of view, but nevertheless having an eye looking at the important key fact that the SBA has prepared regarding this topic. Additionally, worth mentioning is that within this document you will be finding an SBA video link, and also this video is highly recommended for reviewing. Questions on our products can be easily forwarded to our email address webinar@havo.com. Of course, also to me directly, dirk.finkenrath@havo.com. Alternatively, to my colleague, our product manager, Mr. Krattinger, using his direct email address wolfram.krattinger@havo.com, just to make it a little bit easier for us to sort the information, then put in the title or subject #AskHavo. Additional information can be retrieved from our homepage www.havo.com, from our YouTube channel HAVO Germany, and also important, directly from the SBA using their internet page, webpage www.sterilebarrier.org. To start things off, we'll be looking at an example, simple medical product, and to come back to our initial notion to explain a little bit more on packaging as such, sealer technology, I prepared for you a simplified, simplistic version of the instrument preparation cycle. So from the point of use, up here, we'll be going via cleaning, disinfection, inspection, and packaging. We'll be coming back to this in a minute, via sterilization and storage back to the application at the point of use. And here is now the question whether or not packaging will have an implication directly onto application at the point of use, so implications for aseptic presentation or even a contamination risk. So during the course of the presentation of the tutorial, we'll be answering those questions, going along the questions forwarded also to us via the SBA document, and we'll be looking also at a couple of examples. In the following, we will be looking at the context of sterile barrier system, protective packaging or protective packaging layer, as well as packaging system. Down here you see an illustration of a double pouched instrument showing double SBA symbol on outer pouch and single SBS symbol on the inner pouch. Here again, for you to remember, the guidance document forwarded via the SBA. To start with the first question or first topic, context. Why new symbols for identification of sterile barrier systems configurations? Well, to control specific risks with aseptic presentation, to comply with EU MDR regulation, and to have additional user benefits such as easy use. A quick recap on sterile barrier systems, protective packaging layer or packaging system. So the sterile barrier system maintains sterility and allows for aseptic presentation. The protective packaging is there to physically protect the sterile barrier system. And last but not least, the packaging system is the combination of sterile barrier system and protective packaging layer. It can be presumed that medical device manufacturers will stick to symbol printing anyways. So, following the instructions, we have instructions on packaging, and if there's an ISO 11607 reference being given, then we have a requirement on symbol that applies as well from a perspective of easy and safe handling. So easy and safe handling, again a means to risk minimization. If sets of instruments are being customized or manufactured for use only within the healthcare institution, then the MDR Annex 1, including requirements on labeling, applies. The underlying notion, again, is easy and safe handling, elimination or reduction of risk of infection to patients. Next up is which layers of packaging should be labeled? Well, if the protective packaging looks like a sterile barrier system, then validated symbols can help to control the risk of unintentional contamination of the sterile field. However, when it's clearly visible what is the sterile barrier system and what is the protective packaging, the labeling of protective layers is considered useful. The fourth topic or question deals with examples of typical packaging configuration with symbols, and as an example we brought to you here again the SBA example, and of course the different symbols with their norm reference that can be also retrieved from the SBA document. Just to name a few, here the single sterile barrier system with protective packaging inside, the protective packaging outside, the double sterile barrier system, as well as the double sterile barrier system with a protective layer on the outside. How are the symbols to be interpreted by the user? Well, already by their appearance, by the type of line that describes them. A solid line equals a sterile barrier system layer, whereas a dashed line a protective packaging layer, which is not a validated microbial barrier. Within the SBA guidance document, you have a very nice, very detailed table describing the individual symbols, as well as whether or not the employee nurse opening the packaging is staying in the sterile field, so keyword scrubness, or layers touched by the circulating nurse. Here on the screen next to me, we brought to you this extract from the SBA guidance document on a larger scale, and it is indeed very nicely explained depending on what packaging layer we are talking, whether or not it can be touched by the individual functions. Now, how to place the symbols on packaging? What printing solutions are available? Well, of course, direct printing on the outside of the sterile barrier system and, of course, outside the sealing area. Alternatively, labels, but please be careful that those labels won't interfere with the sterile barrier system. The symbol as such can be placed next to the symbol print sterile, in this example here including the sterilization method, ethylene oxide. Alternatively, the symbol can be placed around the wording or symbol for the sterilization method. And in the following, we will be showing to you in a live example how our sealing device HAVO 950 DCV Nanopack can support you in this task. Now you may ask what sealer type could possibly support you in this task. Well, as a simplified sealer compatibility list, I would like to forward here basically 3 model ranges. Very basic sealers with integrated printers. Of course, they can do the direct print on the back of the sterile barrier system. However, only the full line, the solid line, not the dashed line. Then there are sealers with integrated printers and interfaces for external label printers. Here to name the standard version of our Nanopack 950 DCV. Of course, we can print the solid line and transfer information also to a label printer via the interfaces for this external USB label printer. And then there are our high-end models with advanced printing features and of course interfaces to external printing solutions, such as our HAVO 950 DCVI, as well as our model HAVO 4000 DCVI. Those top-of-the-range models can of course print all of the symbols, whether it's the solid line or the dashed line symbol and combination of symbols. For this demonstration, we have of course prepared something for you. Here, our medical instrument that you saw during the introduction, as well as a sufficiently long piece of sterile barrier system, piece of film, as well as our 950 with the printing options. And to start, I will easily switch the printer function off, as we now want to do our closure seal. So just run the film into the sealer. First seal is done. Now we will be doing packaging. However, as we do want to print those new symbols, I will switch the printer function on again and allow for pouch transfer and printing at the same time. And as an example, we chose for you a packaging date, use by date, as well as the sterilization method steam, including the solid line for a sterile barrier system validated microbial barrier. In the following, we will be also showing to you some examples of the more complex symbol printouts with the solid line as well as the dashed line. So thank you for joining me on this tutorial, and as we said in the introduction, more information can be retrieved from our homepage www.havo.com, as well as the SBA homepage www.sterilebarrier.org. So thank you, and hope to see you again on one of our next tutorials.